What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the other side of the Firewall podcast. We talk the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
And Chris Abacon.
What's going on, everybody?
What's going on? So definitely continue to tune in throughout the week. So again, Monday, Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion, Thursdays Ask a CISSP. I have a couple, especially for the month of February, right? Black History Month. And then Fridays, everything else, movies, books, games, all that good stuff. But without further ado, I give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article is from Forbes.com, written by Davey Winder. And the title of this one is Gmail Security Warning for 2.5 billion with a B, Bravo, boy, users. AI hack confirmed, right? So this was a very interesting read because of how sophisticated it was, right? So everybody has Gmail, right? So I don't want to say everybody, but there's a lot of people that have Gmail, right? Like I have a Gmail account. That's the one I use seldomly, right? Because the name for it is not that professional, right? So I don't want to put it out there. I don't want to put it out there, like the name of it and whatnot. If I happen to be searching for jobs or anything like that, so I have a different one that I use. But neither here nor there, right? So what ended up happening here is that there's been some reports of this AI hack going on. And what ended up happening was there was a call that came to someone that posed to be from Google, right? So they called their number. It was a Google caller ID number. They start talking. It's in an American accent, right? So that's automatically, it kind of puts people at ease in America, right? When you start hearing the foreign accents and stuff like that, you start thinking, oh, this is a scam, right? If it sounds African or Indian or something like that, that's kind of where people's heads go, right? I'm going to assume, I'm not going to say that for everybody, but it's kind of what the first thing to look out for is like, hey, I'm about to get scammed here, right? So this guy gets a call, American accent. They tell him, hey, your account's been hacked. They send an email to Gmail to confirm it, right? And like it just so happens the person they called was in cybersecurity, right? And so they didn't exactly fall for it, but it was one of those things where as you're reading it, you're like, man, this is pretty cool. Like it came from Google, like the email came from Google. It was a really good setup that they had here. But the big thing to remember here is that Google is not going to call you. All right. This is kind of the first step should be that Google is not going to call you if for whatever reason your account is hacked or something along those lines. Right. So, and I know people are probably thinking, well, how do we handle this? Right. Because you guys are the ones that are telling us, don't fall for the emails. Right. Because the emails are where the phishing is at. Right. And Google's going to send you an email. How do I know not to fall for that? Well, there's some interesting stuff out there, man. One of my coworkers got one recently that was a phishing email that looked pretty doggone good. And it was about Bitcoin. Like he had some Bitcoin and they were like, hey, this has been hacked, go to this, blah, blah, blah. Like, I was just like, wow, it looks pretty good. But the only thing that kind of gave it away was that the price of Bitcoin was off. They were like, hey, it's $900 for 0.0013 or something like that of Bitcoin or whatever. And the math didn't math up. So that's what kind of gave it away. But I was like, this one looks pretty good. It's PayPal. I think it was from PayPal, supposedly, right? And I'm just like, wow, they're getting very good at this. But folks, be on the lookout there. So if for whatever reason you get a call from Google, or anybody like that, more likely than not, it's not a real thing, right? Because this AI is making it very easy for people to get out there and scam you in this day and age. But Chris, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I mean, Gmail's been probably the most popular email platform in the world, like undisputed, right? But the article is pretty interesting because it does call out an advanced feature that some of you may or may not know that you're already using. It's called the Advanced Protection Program, right? It's highlighted at the end of the article. And essentially what it is, if you sign up for it, if you use it, you have additional protections to protect your account, specifically utilization of something called a passkey, right? A passkey is usually something that's biometric in nature, whether it's your Face ID, if it's a fingerprint, right? Or if you're using a FIDO approved, like some type of key, right? And it associates your account with something biometric. So it's something you have from the multi-factor authentication perspective and something you are. So it's two-factor in that sense. It's a very good way to ensure that there's just less attack factors coming in versus just knowing your password and your email. So it's really cool. Google goes into some examples. They have something called this Titan key, which is a FIDO open standard key. It's a USB-C key, right? But it's also got a fingerprint reader on it, right? So you can put on your laptop, right? It's pretty fancy, right? There's a lot of that, but for most use cases, Face ID or whatever biometric capabilities your phone has should be sufficient. So just there, you'll have instantly, like, you'll have 99% better security than without anything else, right? So it's really cool. What's cool about that is I've been using this for a long time, I guess, and I think I set it up a few years ago because I have my Face ID associated to my Gmail, right? And I never knew it was called the Advanced Protection Program until the gentleman in the article pointed it out. So it's pretty cool. So definitely for our listeners and viewers, definitely check out additional capabilities for Gmail. Go ahead and go to the Advanced Protection Program site. See if you can register your favorite passkey of choice, and it'll work, right? It might be more annoying if you're trying to, if you work in an area with, it doesn't allow phones or anything else. It might be annoying to get access your email in a skiff or something like that. But it'll be worth it at the end when your data and everything is protected.
No, I think you bring up some good points. I don't believe I shouldn't tell that on the podcast, but I don't believe I set that part of it up, to be honest with you. Like, I have a bunch of SMS and multi-factor, but I don't know if it's tied together. So that makes me want to actually dig into it as well. Because I would like my Face ID to somehow be tied into it. Because for the most part, when I use my phone, right, like keychain and all the other stuff is all set up. But if it allows me to use my face, I do every single time. Because I just think that that's a really good biometric. Like, you can't just put a picture of somebody's face up and have it scan it, right? It usually is, well, to my knowledge, it cannot be tricked in that regard, right? Unlike a thumbprint or things like that can be spoofed fairly easily nowadays with just like a piece of tape, right?
Or
like
a gummy bear.
Or a gummy bear. I saw the gummy bear one. I was like, that's pretty cool. But I did find that to be interesting. But what I also took from this was people's willingness to interact with the person who calls them, and I think it just comes out of politeness, or you can even just say public decency, right? So I had my bank call me before because of fraud, right? Like, somebody had my card number a few years back and they were trying to buy something in a different state. So they called me to verify, like, what state are you in? And not as responsive probably as they would like. And when I got off the phone, my wife was like, that was rude. And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, why are you so short with that person who's trying to help you out? And I was like, I don't trust them. I'm going to log into my bank account. I'm going to, see if the bank sent me a document or an email within the account, and then see if that charge is actually exists, whatever. And it was legitimate. Like, the bank actually did call me, because very rarely, like Shannon said, like, Google's not going to call you, or your a lot of people are not going to call you, but the bank actually did call me just to verify where I was at, because I traveled a lot. I was in the military.
Microsoft's not going to call you.
Yeah, I was in the military, so I did travel a lot, and they saw history there, right? Like, he jumps from state to state, and then he even goes overseas sometimes. Because Shannon will attest to this as well. Like, I am pretty short with telemarketers and things of that nature. He said I am a little bit rude, right? But because of our daily job and my background, so I was a telemarketer for like 3 or 4 months, and that was when I was in the delayed entry program, right? DEP. So when I was waiting to join the military, I quit my job thinking I was about to leave, and I didn't leave. So I had to find another job, and it was telemarketing. So I worked for a company that sold magazines. So I would call people and the auto dialer would go off, right? Like, I didn't pick the number I called. There was just a bunch of numbers in the system, and when the person hung up with you, it automatically dialed the next person. So my thing was, I don't want to be held up. Like, if you don't want to buy this magazine, I don't want to talk to you about anything. I want to make sure that I get to the next person to sell. So that's how I treat telemarketers. And it's kind of rude. It's at the end of the day, like, it is what it is. So I'm not saying to be short or rude to people on the phone. What I'm saying is just, like, scrutinize them. They're not your friends. You don't know them. So get to the point of getting the information you need, and then go in yourself and verify in the account. Like, I never clicked the link in the email that takes me to my bank or to my whatever account. Like Robinhood, let's say I had crypto in Robinhood or something like that. I'm not going to click that link. I'm going to go to Robinhood, and then I'm going to check to see where the information is coming from. So I just suggest everyone to do the same.
I think you bring up a good point in that people want to be nice, right? So like I find myself whenever I'm calling in to someone for assistance or for service, I always ask them how their day is going, right? And it surprises them. It's kind of weird, right? Like I'm like, man, that shouldn't surprise you. I've had this conversation with them before where I'm like, it should not surprise you that someone asks like how your day is going or how are you going, right? Because people just call, they're like, I got a service, you provide a service to me, I'm just gonna do whatever. And it catches them off guard. Like I get a pause and I'm like, man, did I dropped the call? Like I'm looking at my phone, like
Or
I
when you like
know.
remember their name after the
Yeah.
entire conversation,
Yes, yes, I do that.
like
And you
thanks,
say it
Bill,
back to them.
appreciate it. And they're like,
Yes,
"Whoa."
so
Throws them off.
I think the military has probably done this for us, right? So like in my
Mm.
first career field as a jet engine mechanic, we had like a phone etiquette class we had to do, right? Because like you could have possibly worked in the mission operations center, right? There's a way to answer the phone. There's certain things I do. Like I even do to this day, 20 years later, I always like if for whatever reason this happens, I know we're running a little long, I'm sorry. And this happens every so often. This happens every so often where someone will call and you can't hear on the other line. I give it 2 times, right? And then I say, no response heard, and hang up, right? Just in case for whatever
Like they
reason
have
they
a
have
push
an
to
issue.
talk.
Like sometimes they may not know they have a push to talk, or if they're having phone issues, if I've said it twice, I can let them know, hey, I'm not hearing you by saying no response heard and then hang up the phone. It's something that's
Nothing
stuck with
heard
me
out.
20 plus. Yeah, like but you let them know I'm not hearing you. You know what I mean? But it's phone etiquette stuff like that, right?
I'm a jerk. I say because I always feel this because Mr. Cooper lost my phone number
Who
or
this?
lost my phone number. So I give you 2 times. I say hello, because it takes a minute for it to kick in before you hear the data center noise in your ear, and then the person starts talking to you, right? So I say hello, and I just click, and then I'm done with it. I move on. I'm rude. I apologize. Sorry, not sorry. So just be very wary, but be nice, as Shannon would say. But that's pretty much it for this episode. So definitely continue to tune in. Monday and Tuesday are topics. Wednesday discussion. Thursdays Ask a CISSP. And Fridays everything else. Movies, books, games, all that good stuff. Hit us up by all the websites that go by our name. The Other Side of the Firewall, The Other Side of the FW, or Ask a CISSP. You can hit me up personally. I'm at RY Security Guy. That's RY Security Guy. You can find me pretty much on all the social medias, but LinkedIn is where I'm most responsive. Where can they find you, Chris?
You can find me on LinkedIn under my name, Chris Abacon, last name spelled Abacon.
There it is. Stay safe. Stay secure.